So Jared, you're getting $35 book calls from YouTube ads right now. What is that looking like?
Yeah, I actually really couldn't believe it, because when I've gone through this process for several years now using your system, and you usually see book calls in the coaching space right now between $150, $300 a book call. And I've just been doing a lot of testing and dialing it in and trying different things. And all of a sudden I'm booking calls for $35, $50 a book call. And I couldn't believe it, but it's actually a breakthrough. And I largely in part because of being involved in your program has helped me find the right traffic and get in front of the right people to bring to what I'm doing.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jared. I'm so excited to have Jared Erni here on the Marketing Minds podcast. Jared's been a client of ours for quite some time. He's also a good friend as well. And definitely really exciting to talk about the results. We're going to dive all into $35 to $50 book calls from YouTube ads, all the different techniques and strategies that go into that. We'll also share some of your journey along the way. Of course, working with us here at Outreach, but also the incredible things that you're doing. Jared runs Attract to Scale, which specializes in helping local businesses with their Google business profile, Google reviews, which is so valuable for local businesses. Been a client of many years here at Outreach, and has helped now over 1,700 businesses, which is especially really amazing because of his focus on impact, which of course we're going to talk about as well. Jared, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Alaric.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so we're going to dive into all of the different elements, and we're definitely going to talk about those $35 to $50 book calls from YouTube ads, some of the different things that you're seeing and testing. But before we dive into all of that, I'd love just to get a little bit of background, because I know when we first started working together, you kind of had, maybe a similar story to people who are listening or watching this, kind of trying to figure out how to get more higher end clients through marketing. Maybe you could kind of take us back to that point when you first discovered us, and what you were doing then, what made you reach out, and what that kind of looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and also I'll take you just a little further back there, because it really sets the stage for this story and journey that's evolved in working with you guys. But back in 2013, I started an indoor digital billboard network, and that's a big name. But what that means is basically what I did was I remember this so well. I bought a 32-inch TV screen from Target and a mini PC from eBay, and I convinced a barbecue restaurant owner to let me install that into their waiting area. And we would actually use this as an alternative to billboards for the local businesses in the community, and we'd run ads on it. And I remember selling my first ad to it for $60 a month, and I was like, wow, I think I have something here. And I continued to grow this over the years, and about 8 years through the process, I had some pretty, I would say some interesting things happening. We actually went into the headquarters of Zaxby's to talk about some things with helping them in digital signage. We had 200 displays across, or 200 gyms and restaurants that hosted our displays across the northern Atlanta area. And it was a really cool thing for the local community to keep local businesses top of mind, and just a more affordable and more engaging way for them to, rather than the old traditional billboard option there. But what really kind of like flipped this script upside down, I had an offer to buy our company from a small billboard company. They were going to purchase us. And I remember we were like 2 days away from signing the deal, and then it was silence and COVID hit. And everything shut down, restaurants shut down. We had, gyms shut down. There was really, no one knew what was going to happen here. And with the shutdown, then all of a sudden our deal just went on hold. We didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden the financing pulled out. We tried to resurrect the deal a couple times, and then ended up really just losing my business in the course of 60 days, where that was totally out of my control. And I remember at that point also recognizing that while this was happening, I was ready to move on to something a little different and something more impactful for local businesses, because through those 8 years, I learned how to market ourselves through a lot of trial and error, leveraging Google Business Profile, leveraging sales funnels in a different way that most local businesses haven't really seen or heard of. This a lot of digital marketers have, but it wasn't really packaged for local businesses. And so I started taking those clients, especially coming out of that COVID time, where the pandemic had shut them down, they really needed to reactivate business. And so I started teaching them how to do Google Business Profile and using funnels, strategies for their businesses. And we had extremely good results. And it almost didn't matter the niche we worked with, as if they were a local brick and mortar or service business, it worked. And so I started applying it for, the HVAC guy, and I started doing it for the cryotherapy center and for chiropractors and painters. And we had all of these also case studies that this was working for. I knew I had something really important to share with people, but I struggled to get it out using Facebook as the platform of choice. And, I was only helping a very small handful of clients at that time, but I really felt a calling that this was something people really needed, and they really needed it now. And I watched your webinar, Ulrich, and I knew that this was something I absolutely needed, but I didn't book a call because I also knew it was probably outside of my financial means at the moment, having gone through this whole disaster with my business and trying to recover from it, and just a small book of business at the time. And, one of your good salespeople called me up a day or two later, and I told him just that. I said, I know I need this, but I'm not sure I can buy it right now. And he said, well, it's worth a call. It's worth just getting on and seeing if we can get you some clarity. And I did. As entrepreneurs have to do, really instilled in me that this is something I really needed, and I needed to get resourceful to figure it out. And so I did. We figured out a way for this to work, and I joined the program. And this was around, is right before Christmas. And so I kind of took a couple weeks off for the holidays to be with my family. And then January, I hit the ground running. I was surprised in 2 weeks after launching my ads, following your system, building it out. Like, I really had a pretty good foundation in place, but it was really about getting the right people, showing up at the right time and bringing them to this. In 2 weeks, I made my investment back, and my mind was blown. In 6 weeks, I had tripled my book of business and my revenue. And I was like, this is incredible. And in 8 months, I did $250,000 from this kind of scrappy startup of a new venture that came from the crumbling of the other one. And I was just so excited, so relieved, and felt a stronger calling to serve these local businesses in a way that they really needed. And we were seeing incredible success with them. So that's really where it started and how it kind of evolved. Since then, we've done well over $1 million in business. We've helped over 1,700 local business owners. And more importantly to me is we're changing lives, because I know what it's like to be stuck in a business that's more of a job you own than an actual business that you own. And I want to free people from that, because they start these local businesses for freedom, for choice to create impact, but also to have more choice and freedom in their lives. And it ends up being exactly opposite for quite some time. And they end up stuck in that space if they don't have the help to get out of it. And they're good people. They are good with their hands. They're good at their trade. They just need a little help with that marketing piece to dial it in. One of my favorite case studies is helping Adam, who's a struggling lighting business. And in 10 months, he went from a part-time crew and being out there every day to having 3 full-time crews and being able to go on a 2-week vacation and not have to worry about his business. And this is the first time he was able to do that with his 2 kids and wife. And it was just so rewarding and fulfilling to hear him say that.
I love it. That's one of the things that I love too, is just the ripple effect, because it's like one of the things that I know, because we've known each other for a while now, and is just how much you care so deeply about the clients that you're working with. It's the same way that I feel and we feel at Ad Outreach. And one of the things that we have, and I know you've adopted a similar mission, is our mission at Ad Outreach is to empower businesses to amplify their impact and create a positive ripple effect in the world. And so I really believe that when we help people like yourself, of course, this really helped your business, do millions and get into that spot where you're able to go and take something where you were struggling in that old business, you built it all up, and then things outside of your control caused issues. You were able to really ramp this up. So it's not just supporting you, though. It's the clients that you're working with, like Adam. That's creating a ripple effect. And you have 1,700 of these other clients. And I remember when your big goal was 1,000 impact.
I thought that was a long ways away.
Yeah, I know. And now, you're going to be lapping that multiple. You're almost doubling that already, which is just amazing. But then if you look at that, Adam has his whole crew, his team, and his employees. And then he has his family, and he has all the people that he supports. It really creates a ripple effect through us supporting you, supporting him, supporting the people that they have as well. And I know that that's something that you also care about. Like, what does the ripple effect of impact mean to you, and how have you incorporated that into everything that you're doing as well?
Man, it goes so much deeper than helping a business, because while that's great, it's really how it impacts and changes lives. One of the most beautiful things that working with you guys has done for me is being able to get to a place like 10 years. My wife and I have always talked, like, my wife was a school teacher for 15 years. She really was the stability in our income while I was doing these business ventures. And the trajectory that working with you guys had put into my business allowed me to really just look at this and go, you know what, babe, you can retire from teaching. You don't have to do this anymore. Like, I was able to provide that to her. Like, that as a man, as a father, as a husband, was so powerful for me to finally be able to do that, because it was my dream to be able to provide that way. And then we sold our house. We sold almost everything we owned. And just like during that COVID period of time, we traveled for 2 years with my 4 kids and my wife. Our baby was 3 months old at the time. Can't believe we did this. 3 months old. And we would travel Airbnb by the month or 6 weeks at a time to different places in the country. And to have the kind of experiences as a family that we had was incredible. To have 2 years of doing that while the kids were at a good age to do it. And it's inspired a lot of people. It's inspired a lot of people about, how do I build a business like that? How do you guys travel like that? I've been able to really share, and that's not an offer that I've ever like sold, but like there's just so many other layers to just a business offer that we did that help people in different ways and aspects. And I want people to be able to live a life. I want to help serve people to live a life of intention, like shape the life that you want. And here's a few ways I can help you do that, and I'm grateful to share it.
I love that. And it's just such a good way of like looking at all the different aspects of business and life going into each other. And when you can go and grow your business, but then also support your family and go and travel the world. Yeah, you were sending videos. We were celebrating you as as a team. And I know you were sharing these different things and sharing some of the videos. And when you and your family went out to go and see the sea turtles hatch, and
oh yeah, that was crazy.
and all of that.
We went. So our favorite, like, we went from beaches to skiing on the slopes in Utah, all in like the same month. It was amazing. It was really cool.
I love it. And that's, that's what a lot of this is about. I think a lot of people forget, building up their business, that it's, you're doing this to be able to live the life that you want to live, and then also create the impact you want to create. So the impact on clients, the life that you want to live, and that's also something that I admire about you as well, is you're very clear in like how you want to live your life, the time you want to spend with your family, the focus that you have on that. I'm curious, where does all that come from? And that, because you definitely have this ability, especially as the marketing is performed, all the different things, like you've been able to kind of adopt that freedom. Where does that kind of come from, and how do you see that play into your entrepreneurial journey, especially with, family and, I've seen you with your kids and the way that you're raising them, and they're young entrepreneurs too, which is amazing. We've got their socks that they made and all of that, but
Yeah, I think maybe some of it comes from, and while I love my parents, they weren't entrepreneurial minded, people necessarily, and so I think a lot of it comes from like, what do I wish that I had? Like, I wish I could have started this sooner, and what advice would I want to give myself when I was younger, and where would I tell myself, what books would I tell myself to read, and things like that. And I look at what I've been able to learn now, having dived deep into good coaches like your program and others, having shaped skill sets that are actual marketable skill sets. And college is great, but I didn't get this from conventional schooling. And so I look at like, what could I do to help someone on their path sooner than I was able to figure some of these things out? So a lot of that goes back to like my kids. Like, I really want them to learn that life is an adventure, and I want you to eat it up, and I want you to be able, don't let life happen to you, shape the life that you want. And I think that also comes a lot from like just the entrepreneurial spirit that's inside of you. Alex Sharfin talks about the evolutionary hunter. And when he said that, like, it's a calling inside you can't shut off, I go, I think I understand myself a little deeper than I have before. Like, it's something that I'm just not able to turn off. And no matter what I do, I'm always called to go back and how do I help people in some aspect with the skill sets and the things that I've learned.
Yeah. I love it. And I love that that's such a big focus that you have and the way that you approach everything. And so one thing I think is really valuable here, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper because I know you've got a special funnel. We're going to talk about that in a second, a survey funnel that's getting some of these low cost, book calls that we're talking about from YouTube. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of your local marketing strategies because there might be some local businesses listening to this as well. You had a whole array of different types of businesses that listen to this. Of course, a lot of coaches and consultants and experts as well. But before we get into that, I think we have a really unique opportunity because usually I've brought people onto the podcast that share different expertise, but you have this background in addition to your expertise of you've been working with us over these years. And so you've seen on the inside. And I think a lot of people sometimes, they might be watching this and aren't a client yet. And they might be wondering, what's that experience really like? What's ad outreach really like? So do you want to kind of share what that experience is like? Maybe starting off originally going through the process, having us write the scripts, help you with the ads, launching, optimizing, scaling. And then we could talk about more recently, because I know we've been helping with some of the new changes and things that you've been building out as you innovate.
Yeah.
But do you mind kind of sharing maybe a little bit about what that experience of actually working with ad outreach is like?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of us who have invested in some sort of, coaching or course program in the past, we're used to kind of the idea of like having some calls that we can join and going through these video lessons. While that's also something that you've provided and is great, very good content. One of the things that I think I was surprised about was just how much connection to you guys that we actually have. I think a lot of programs almost kind of like are built intentionally to not have so much of that connection necessarily so they can scale better. But I was able to get the help that I needed when I needed it through the whole process. And there's layers to it. And for some people, getting through that process, they need more touch points to just be able to do it. For me personally, I really gained a lot of value from, I was not very experienced on video, and to go through the training on how to create a really good video. And even the recommendations is funny. Actually, a little piece of my, what do you call it? Gimbal.
Yep.
This was the gimbal that you recommended back in that video when I first joined, actually.
I love
it. Being able to carry that while we traveled and have better quality video, things like that, and to learn from you guys in that way. I think one of the things that I noticed was the best ads I created were the ones that looked were just not didn't have the studio background or the lighting or the professional mic. It was literally the organic looking videos, the ones that I took within my truck, almost selfie mode with my phone. And that was something I wouldn't have considered. But the coaching and guidance you guys gave me the breakthroughs in my ads that did the best with their performances. And on top of all of that, and this goes back to what you said, you remember when I said, I'd love to impact 1,000 businesses. Well, I joined your program because I needed YouTube ads, but I got way more than that. I got YouTube ads working for me, which led to new problems I needed to think about for my business. I remember coming in and being like, man, if only I could, break this barrier of 35,000 in sales a month, get the help that I needed, how do I fulfill to be able to get myself out of sales, things like that. I had bigger questions because what got me to 35, 40,000 in sales a month needed to change in order to get to the next level. And I remember shooting a target like, and it'd be amazing if I could get 80,000 in sales a month. And I was like, man, what do I need to change to do that? The guidance that I got, I was going into your office for those office events, sitting down with your team who you've scaled a massive, impactful business with, and getting the insights that I needed. And what's beautiful is I broke barriers I didn't know I could break on my own. Every single time I came in, I left with a takeaway that helped me create a business. And our biggest month was double that. It was $160,000 in our biggest month. And it was incredible to really be on a journey where it started with YouTube ads, but it ended up helping me take the steps beyond that in my program that I really needed to grow and impact more businesses like I wanted.
Yeah. I love that. I appreciate you pointing that out as well, because that's one of the things that I tell people. It's kind of funny, we kind of see it's like we can kind of see people's future. We know,
Yeah.
hey, once we solve this, a lot of people are coming in like, oh, if only I could get to 30K or 50K or 100K a month. And we get the YouTube ad set up, and they break barriers, and then they realize, oh, wait a second, now we need to know, how do we actually manage a calendar system around Robin for sales team members,
Right.
or what's the tech to qualify leads that can go to the owner for certain qualified leads, and then send some others to another advisor, a salesperson, or appointment setter. So there's all these things in the background. Then how do you scale up your offer? And so because we've been doing this so many years with people, amazing clients like yourself, we've seen what works and what doesn't work and what you need to do. And at each new level, there's new opportunities, but there's also new challenges. But when you have a guide and a roadmap, that's what we're here to help with. And so maybe you could kind of share what that has been like working closely with the team. I know you mentioned, kind of the initial strategy and launch, some of the office days, but also the different subject matter experts that we have. We have our ad strategist helping with the ad side. We've got our copywriting to help you write your scripts. I know you've got some fantastic ads that were filmed, and definitely different iterations. So what's kind of that experience been like working with our team, and also some of the deliverables that we do for you as well, and some of those pieces? What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been really, really helpful, because even just recently, I'm on a clinic with Dave Leake talking about a new offer and really breaking it down. Because here's the thing that I've learned is, like, I see everything from the prism of my own experience, but I don't see everything. And I really value other perspectives and other people looking at something that might see something a little different than I do. So joining these clinics to be able to get someone else's perspective, especially someone who's, specialized in like copywriting or funnels or ads, whatever it might be, there to have that other perspective look at what I'm working with and give me guidance on that. Working with Dave just literally, it was last week actually, was powerful for me to validate what I'm doing and give me some good insights that I can take and put into it that I hadn't thought of. And that has happened every step of the way, whether it's reviewing copy on my funnel, whether it's going over my ad script. I remember coming into your office for one of the office days and talking about, equipment and filming and like, how do I improve this? Then I just all of a sudden get pulled into the office here, and we're already filming a new ad with all your equipment. That was incredible. So to be able to just have that kind of guidance, it's over delivery from your team in every aspect that I've seen. And why that's important too is because it's actually shaped how I want to serve my clients. Again, like, I thought I was getting a YouTube program to teach me YouTube ads, but I actually got a model for how to create a really good program to serve my clients with. And I've incorporated principles and elements that you guys have used and maybe don't even realize into my program as well, to shape how that's turned out. And that's just greatly impact, the overall business and the experience that my clients have been having too.
Well, thank you. And it's also, it's so amazing to see the way that you're going out and working closely with your clients, the impact that you create. And, I know I should have had I was actually had the mug just the other day, but the mug that you got, the ROI ripple of impact, that we share that, because of course there's monetary ROI, but even greater, especially as you grow your business and you have all this revenue coming in, instead of like, yes, that's great, that's amazing, and that's like a sign of the growth that you can have, and allows you to do amazing things with family, friends, whatever. But when it comes to the impact you create on your clients, it's just so profound. What's that journey been like, looking at the impact that you've been able to create on your clients? Like, what has that been like on your side, Jared? Because I know you've added that into your mission as well. And that was actually one of the most touching moments for me, is when you were kind of sharing your mission and how you're looking to impact local businesses and the similarities there. But what's that experience been like for you, and the way you've brought impact focus into your business?
Yeah, I think it takes me back to being at one of these events that I think we were both at, Funnel Hacking Live. And I remember Tony Robbins just being really absorbed in one of his presentations. And he said that real fulfillment comes from both achievement and contribution. You have to have both to truly be fulfilled in life. And that really resonated with me. And I think it isn't just a little bit part of my nature naturally to want to serve and help people, but I recognize that is a component to success in my business that is just always needs to be intentional. How do I really create impact, not just achievement in my own, agenda here with my business? And it really is the paycheck. When I have someone come back and is like, you changed everything for me. Like what you did just changed the trajectory of our business. I remember this one client who had pretty much an unsellable business finally actually get an offer and successfully sell his business. And the reason for it was because in working with him over that last 12 months, he actually created a marketing system that worked for his business before it wasn't there. And that was powerful. I have another client who said, she was ready to give up, either sell or shut things down because she was not getting anywhere with her wellness spa over the last 12 months since starting. And within 30 days in our program, she had her best month in business and continued to grow with it because of just simple framework she just was missing. And that changed everything for her. Another client sold her business and traveled full time, just like I did. And it was beautiful. But to see these stories of people doing things and living life in a more impactful way that they wouldn't otherwise have had because some part of that I had my thumbprints were involved in that, or there was a piece of that I was able to help in their journey to be able to do that. That's what really is the paycheck for me. And it surprised me. I know this happens to you, Alaric, when you go to an event and people see you on YouTube all the time and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Alaric. Look, that's so cool. That actually happened to me last February. And I'm at Funnel Hacking Live and this lady comes from the side and, I'm finishing conversation, turned to her, she goes, oh my gosh, it's Jared Erni. And I go, hey. And she goes, my name's Kat. And I can't tell you how much, I went through your program and I actually applied it to helping chiropractors. And I'm working with a lot of chiropractors now. And it's just really helped me with my own agency. And it blew me away that something I did meant enough for this person to recognize me in a sea of people and to want to come spend her moment to come up and share that with me. That was really, really moving and it felt fulfilling. And that is far more fulfilling than the paycheck of doing this. But that's what makes it all worth it for me.
I love it. It's so amazing. And especially those are some of my favorite moments as well when you have those people share that. And one thing I think, we know, but people who are watching this, they might not be advertising on YouTube or really doing a whole lot with video. What would you say is kind of the big difference that you see in doing YouTube ads and video-based marketing this way, right? Where it's a value-driven video ad that then leads people into the funnel. How do you think that has impacted the results, the recognition, even things like that, people recognizing you? How do you think the fact that you've been advertising on YouTube has affected that and the quality of the leads coming in, the way that they're warmed up to you? What have you seen from the YouTube ad side specifically?
Yeah. So video can be challenging to get into because number one, it's not a comfort zone for a lot of people being on camera and video recording yourself and then putting it out there to the whole world. And so obviously your program addresses that and helps people understand here's actually what you need. And here's all the stuff you think you need that you actually don't. But to create a video that allows you to break a false belief and rebuild it in a powerful way and then move someone to taking action in the next step. We live in a digital world and there's no better way to connect with someone else person to person than through video in that digital world. And so I teach it to my clients. I'm like, look, you need to put yourself on video so people connect you. People don't want to do business with a business. They want to do business with someone they know they can connect to and understand. And so being able to put yourself out there is just creates way more connection, allows you to increase trust and rapport much faster, which is a huge component or reason for people actually making a buying decision. And while I had my ads, running, we also had retargeting going on, and I had people booking calls with me who initially saw my stuff a year ago and then have just seen it over and over and over and over, all those touch points for a year, and then finally made the decision to book a call. And when I got on the phone, they could not, or the Zoom call, they could not believe that they were actually talking to me. It almost gave a celebrity status to me coming on that call for them, that they were almost they were shook by that. and in a good way, but it created a tremendous amount of trust and rapport with that person while on that call. It's just mounds more impactful than image ads or Facebook ads could be.
A picture's worth 1,000 words and a video's worth 1,000,000.
Yeah.
And it definitely really builds that know, like, and trust. And then they get to know who you are. And it's just so great. And then also value-driven video ads, a big part of our process too, actually educating, providing value, and showing people that that's how you lead with value. And so that's amazing. Now we're going to get into some of what you're doing with your funnel, your survey funnel in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Tips for local businesses. We're also going to share a few more things around that side. But before we get into that, there might be some people who are watching this right now who, are thinking about working with ad outreach. Maybe they've had a call, maybe they haven't had a call, kind of similar to what you were saying, early on. You kind of knew you needed to do this, but you hadn't quite scheduled that call yet. What would you say to that person who is watching or listening to this right now that is on the fence, that kind of knows that they need to do YouTube or work with us on the video side, but they haven't either booked the call or taken action yet and enrolled? What would you say to that person?
Well, so I go back to my experience growing this indoor digital billboard network. It took me 8 years to build a business that did $250,000 a year, which is, honestly, and I did it because I was relying on myself most of the time to figure it out. I knew I was resourceful enough that with enough time, I'll figure this out. That was my mentality. And a lot of entrepreneurs take that because, yes, we do have to be resourceful and responsible with our resources. And often we have to be the ones building that sweat equity and whatnot. But at the same time, there's an opportunity cost involved. And that's what I didn't recognize until, I had, things kind of crumbled on that end. And then I had to make a decision. I recognized I don't have 8 more years to figure this out. I can't afford that. And so I took action. And if you're sitting on the fence and you're like, this feels right, but I'm not sure I'm there yet, or I don't know. Look, a little bit of action creates more action. A little bit of action creates momentum. It may not end up being the thing for you, but just commit to yourself to explore it, right? Get on a call and see, because it might be just the thing that you need to double your business in 2 weeks and triple in 6, and right, put yourself on that. If Chris hadn't called me, I don't know where I'd be today. And I'm so grateful that he did. And I'm blessed because he did, but I didn't take that action necessarily. I would not be where I am today if that hadn't happened. And I wouldn't want to be sitting in that place not taking action today because of that. Because I had this doubt. Take action, and just here's the other thing that I learned too. It's incredibly powerful. You may be able to figure all this out on your own with how much time, right? The biggest ROI I've ever had was hiring the right coach at the right time for the right reasons. And I recognize now that is the fastest path to success, is just get the right person to help you first. They know the way, they know the blueprint, and it saves you mounds of time and trial and error to get there.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And that means a lot, Jared. I'm definitely excited to support the people that are so inclined to go and schedule that call. And we're going to continue because we got some cool more golden nuggets. But if you are feeling compelled right now, go ahead and click the link down in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're watching this as a podcast or listening as a podcaster. Just go to adoutreach.com/apply, adoutreach.com/apply, and schedule that call and have a conversation with our team. And, again, this consultation, call. So we're going to hear more about what you're doing, what your business is doing, what your goals are, what some of the challenges are right now. And we're going to help map out a strategy to bridge that gap, how you can use the power of YouTube ads, video marketing, also our other strategies. As you heard from Jared, there's a lot of different things that go into this, and see how we can support you. And on that call, we want to map out the strategy. You'll have the strategy either way, and then we can share how we can support you with that and see if that's a good fit. But we're not looking to pressure you into doing something. What we want to do instead is we want to figure out where you're at, where you're looking to go, show you a path to get there. Whether you work with us or not, we really want to help map that out and help you get the best success with your business and with your marketing and with your YouTube ads. I really encourage you to schedule that call, see how we can support. And I'd love to help support you and grow your ripple effect of impact, just like we've done with Jared. So we've still got more to go here in the podcast, though. we've been teasing this since the very, very beginning. You talked about how you're now getting $35 to $50 booked calls with your YouTube ads from cold traffic as well. So you made sure to put that asterisk. This is not warm or hot retargeting we're talking about cold traffic, and it's a new funnel style that we've been using, or that you've been using with our YouTube ad strategy, with the new funnel style that you've been rolling out. What is this funnel? How is this working? What are you seeing right now to share with the audience?
Well, so I've been experimenting since January on this and diving deep into micro commitment psychology. And I recognize that like right now, the market, there's low trust in the market. There's kind of like this story where you see webinars were the really big thing, and then everyone was doing them and they got less and less efficient, and they have shorter attention spans. So then it's a shorter VSL and an evergreen kind of evolution off of that. And that exploded, but everyone's doing it. And so there's this kind of like marketplace now where there's low trust, there's skepticism, people don't want to be sold to. And how do we navigate that, but also in a mobile first kind of experience? Because I started looking at my numbers and I went, this is really interesting. More than 80%, almost 90% of my traffic is mobile. And I'm building all of my funnels in kind of all the platforms out there typically are like build for desktop first, and then you can like do the mobile display and make everything fit in it. But it's not like really optimized for mobile experience. And so I started learning, like diving deep into this and micro commitment psychology, and the idea of how surveys can actually lead someone to, again, take action, creates action, builds momentum, and increases, even on a micro level, certain amounts of trust through the process. And I started experimenting with taking that traffic through this kind of like a survey instead of asking them to give me your name, email, and phone number in order to get my thing. I take them through this kind of like survey process first, and it kicks it off. And I touch these little touch points with a nice easy warm-up question to just get the click, an emotional trigger question, a logical trigger question, an opportunity trigger question, and then my favorite is the pre-CTA frame. Like, hey, how open are you to a new method that they're looking for? And they get a press on that, which then takes them to the opt-in. What's really powerful is like this has created it's been able to get people to take action that wouldn't otherwise. I'm getting more click-throughs, but I'm also filtering out people who are tire kickers and getting stronger lead flow through this process. On the back end though, this is what's really been interesting. So I've built this for mobile first, and it's working extremely well. I'm doing that with a real optimized for the thumb area of the phone and very fast button clicks and things like that. On the back end, I use kind of like the framework that you teach in terms of video, and I've just condensed it into about 5 minutes. I know that I don't know if I might get the statistic wrong, but I remember something about most video today is short form, that is consumed as short form video. And I wanted to figure out, how do I break a false belief and rebuild it in a very quick way? And so I do this in like a 5-minute framework of a video. And by the way, following all of your advice through that whole process. And then within 5 minutes, I have AI send them a text. And I do this because text has a 90% open rate in first 3 minutes compared to success of 20% open rate in email. And how do I engage with them quickly? But it's AI, so it's actually two-way conversational text. And I haven't figured out the exact data on this part yet, but right now I feel like it's over 60% of my book calls are happening because of AI engagement via text after the fact. So it's a combination of guiding someone through almost a survey before asking them to give me their information, and getting AI involved in there that's automatically texting them, which is increasing the book, greatly decreasing my book call rates, but increasing my number of book calls for the same amount of ad spend. It's been cool. It's been really cool to see. And I'll tell you what, one of the things though, is that I would never have thought to dissect all of this down as much as I had and test like I have, if not for you teaching us how important it is to continually test, not just your ads, but your funnels and all of these iterations. And you really instilled in me the idea of this is now my slogan when it comes to marketing. You hear the term always be selling, and my terminology is always be testing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I'm always be testing.
I love it, which is awesome. And that's one of the cool things too, is sharing what's working and what's happening. And of course, we're doing that here on the Marketing Minds podcast. And I know we were actually just talking about, I think, Brody's episode of the Marketing Minds podcast on virtual events that you had listened to. And I know you'd done some of our virtual events and kind of gotten to experience that. So the behind the scenes, but this is also what we do, inside of ad outreach as well is, hey, here's the test that we're seeing. Here's this, here's that. We had Ryan Kelly. I think that this one with Ryan. I know you know Ryan, but like, did you hear about the split test we did where we added? So his whole audience is especially a lot of older women who are looking to play piano. And the split test that was done, like his page was just kind of like more like generic. And so Angie's like, wait, why does this page should have flowers? This page should have, as Angie's like, our one of our senior marketing strategists now, she's our director of growth, but this should have flowers. This should have some older women like playing the piano and pictures. And he made that change and saw over, I believe it was either 26 or 28%. We did we're doing a podcast with him as well, but it was either a 26 or 28% increase in the conversion rate. You can watch that other one for the actual stat, but it's like that's like at least 26%. That's a crazy increase in the conversion rate. Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah. And sometimes it's something as simple as adding flowers to your landing page, depending on like what your audience is. And he's teaching people how to play piano, and he's got a specific audience, and that's where a lot of the traffic and the targeting is. And it's like, wait a second, let's create a page that's going to really appeal to them. Let's split test. So it's exactly what you're saying. So with you, it's the surveys, the micro commitments, and these are the things that get shared as well, and as part of that knowledge and all of this. So one of the things I want to ask you about as well is for local businesses. What are some and this may or may not be relevant depending on the person who's watching. But I always think it's really interesting to get the different strategies. What are some of the best strategies in kind of like a short, punchy like strategy tactic? Way of describing them that are working the best right now with local businesses?
Well, so first off, every local business needs to capitalize on their Google business profile. It is an asset of yours that most people are not utilizing. 92% of businesses set it up and then never really touch it again because they feel like, I put my information in, it should do what it needs to do now. But it becomes an asset with activity and frequency. And so it's almost like, I kind of call it like a spider web, but putting your profile together is the web itself, doing all the things like the description, the Q&As, like the images, all of that is pulling the strings tight, getting it taut. But if you're not active with it, if you're not generating new reviews, responding to those reviews, frequently publishing new photos and publishing new updates to it, all of those are like the vibrations on the web, signaling to Google that there's content to consume. And as it consumes it, it's going to rank you more relevant for local search. And that relevancy is what you need because Google's goal is to show searchers or viewers the most relevant top 3 businesses in the map section. That's how you get there, by building that relevance. And so every local business needs it and they need to use it. And it doesn't need to take more than 10 minutes a day or even that. Like there's automations you can do, but you just need to make sure that you're actually leveraging that asset. And the second thing I would say is actually create a real offer. So, I work with a lot of tradespeople and they think that by putting on their website, book an estimate or schedule a quote is their offer. And that maybe it used to work, but today it doesn't because everyone sounds exactly the same. The beauty is you can actually create a real offer out of getting the estimate, and you just need to know how to frame it. I like to teach them my 3-point offer framework. And number 1 is like, you want to speak to the transformation that they desire. Number 2 is you want to speak to the emotional benefit of using your service. Number 3, you want to create a value add-on. And one of my favorites was a flooring company that we did. And we said, when you get a new floor installed by us, we'll give you a free Roomba vacuum to keep it clean every night. And like no other flooring contractor does that. But I'll tell you what, that makes them stand out. That makes them different in a crowded market, and that resonates with people because it creates perceived value. It's way more than just book a free estimate. It gives them actual value that they can perceive in using you as a service.
And it's such low-hanging fruit that especially local businesses are able to utilize. And I know that's your area of expertise, and you just built up so much around this. You have over 1,700 businesses. I know there's many, many more. It's going to be funny, kind of similar to how we look back at the original big goal was 1,000, and now you're about to lap that. I think we'll look back at this podcast, whenever it is, years from now, and chuckle at the smaller numbers here based on the impact we can create from now. But how can people go and find you, especially local businesses that can really benefit from all of this? But just in general, how can people go and find you? Where do you want to send people? What's the best way for people to learn more?
Yeah, well, best place is just come to the site attract2scale.com. You can jump in and get a quick guide on your Google business profile, completely free, and explore how that will help you.
Awesome. We'll put all those links down below in the description and the show notes. And just to kind of close it out here, Jared, what's some of the final words that you would say to somebody who's considering ad outreach?
Yeah, well, I just, for all those listening, I would not be where I am today and have had the years of experiences that I've had, not just in business, but also the beauty of being able to travel with my family and my kids, being able to retire my wife, and being able to feel like I'm living a life more full of impact because of what I'm doing, not just for us, but for others, if not for ad outreach. Your team has changed my life and has done an amazing job shaping my kids' lives too. Because as Alaric knows, my kids, being able to see what I do, being able to be kind of like that witness of this journey that I've been in, and being able to have conversations with my kids constantly, talking to Liam, he's really taken to it. He's a good little funnel builder right now. And he's got his own Google business profile optimization business for a good little book of business. But like none of that would have happened if I hadn't joined Ad Outreach and if one of your team members hadn't called me back, because quite honestly, I don't know that I would have booked that call on my own. And I'm so grateful that I did. And if you're listening to this, if you're resonating with this and going, man, I also feel like this might be what I need, but I'm a little scared. I'll tell you, the most important decisions in life often come with a little bit of hesitation, with a little bit of like uncertainty behind them. And you're standing at the edge and you have to decide, do I jump or not? I'm so grateful that I took the leap. And if you're in that place, please, please, please just book a call and find out how this can benefit you. Because if it does what it did for me, it will change your life.
Thank you so much, Jared. That means a lot. And it's been so amazing working with you and also seeing your kids dive into all of this as well and building their funnels and their business. I have and a bunch of our team members. We've got the ad outreach socks that they made us as well, and I know they've had plenty of different funnels as well. In addition to that one, and it's just so amazing, heartwarming. Yeah, really appreciate you, and definitely, if you're watching this right now, go ahead, click that link. We'll put it down in the description on YouTube. We'll put it in the show notes or adoutreach.com/apply. We'd love to help work with you and help you grow your business and impact, just like Jared here as well. So thank you so much again for being on here, Jared. I'm so excited to see what's more ahead from here because this is still just the beginning. I know there's so much more impact and growth from here, and I'm honored to be a part of that with you.
Thank you, Alaric.